and says, there's a really good line by Superman in this. I'm going to try and find it real quick because it's pretty poignant to who Superman is. And Superman stays calm through all this and is trying to help set things right, because they have to all work together, because the Watchtower is now currently falling out of orbit because of the fans, these people that were super fans of the Justice League that somehow snuck into the contracting crew that built the Watchtower and snuck all kind of backdoor programs and viruses into the Watchtower. And they claim to be fans of the Justice League, but they're fucking with the Justice League left and right in this arc. And so the Watchtower is currently falling out of orbit, and they all have to work together to find a way to stop it from burning up and killing everybody. And the debate is, which of us is the most important of the Justice League? Who can we not afford to lose that we can get out of here and have... Because they can only do so much. Like, they said, like, the Green Lanterns could create... they don't have a Green Lantern, but this guy has, like, the ability to make hard light structures, too, that's with them. And right. They said he can take a couple. Clark's cape is indestructible. Clark's costume is indestructible. Clark could wrap two of us in his cloak or in his cape and pull us through the atmosphere. But we've only got room for so many, and there's too many of us on. Somebody has to stay here and die. And
Batman's the most important. We know that.
Well, I mean, and they're saying, well, who's most important? You know, is it the original Justice Leaguers like Flash and Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman? Should we get them off? You know, what should we do? I don't know why Clark would burn up anyway.
He won't.
Clark should be fine. But I mean, they're all talking like who should
Clark
stay, who
and
should
Wonder
go.
Woman would probably be fine because Wonder Woman's, indestructible for the most part.
Well, I mean, but there's the thing is they're all kind of infighting and saying, look, you know, we need to pick. You know, we know it's not an ideal situation, but we need to pick who's going to survive this, because not all of us are going to survive this. And the insistence of, like, the regular Justice League, some of them are like, basically Superman's like, look, we're all going to get off of this, or none of us are going to get off of it. So we're going to do it the right way. And Wonder Woman even says, no one is leaving you. No one. I will gladly stay behind in order for you all to survive. And so Wonder Woman, like the original core Justice League, they got a lot of younger heroes with them now that are joining the Justice League, younger junior Justice League guys, like Killer Frost is fairly new to being a hero, and you've got a couple other guys that are in here in Batman's JLA team, and Lobo just splits on him. Lobo's like indestructible in space. He can survive in space. He just says, "I'll see you later," and he just flies out. He takes off. But the rest of them are mostly human. But some of them are going to die if they stay there. But the core Justice League kind of shows them, I think, what being a hero is. Because the core Justice League, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Flash, Superman, they're all like, none of us will leave here. None of us will leave you. We will stay here and burn up with you if we can't fix this.
Right.
And they kind of showed the younger JLA members and stuff, like, this is how you be a hero. This is what a hero does. And so what they basically do is they get the atom to shrink down to a microscopic size and go into the Watchtower computer, and he's got to basically stop all these viruses and malware and weird shit that these guys put in the computer at the speed of light by hand. He's in the computer stopping different synapses and pulses and signals by hand, just by stopping them with his hands and grabbing them. So they've done that. They decided to rupture the coolant tanks around the entire outside of the Watchtower, and then Killer Frost power is basically she converts heat energy into ice. So she can absorb all of the heat from re-entry and basically ice up the Watchtower as they fall, and it will freeze up and they will survive on the way into the atmosphere. So that it ends with that plan starting to take effect, and you see the Justice League satellites the orbits decaying and the atmosphere starting to burn it up, but there's this big crust of ice starting to form around the outside of it, and that's where the book leaves off.
Okay.
But pretty good issue of Justice League. I'm kind of digging it. I'm not sure. They just changed I think they just changed the team on that book, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if that's Priest writing that one or not. Let me take a look at the cover. Yeah, this is Priest. He's the new. I guess I don't know how many issues back he started doing this. I guess a couple. But like I said, I'm so terrible at remembering creator names when it comes to like old ones. like old school guys I can tell in a minute, but I mean some of these new guys that I'm not too familiar with. It takes me a few issues to figure out who's writing and drawing everything. But Justice League getting really good, I think. I dig it. I was wondering if are they going to turn this into some kind of political message or something in the last issue, like the Justice League doesn't like poor people or some shit like that. But I think that they turn that around pretty quick in the beginning of this issue, and then it mainly becomes about what it takes to be a real hero in the Justice League, and showing the younger members what it means to sacrifice and to be a hero for the world. So I thought it was a pretty good one. I read Nightwing. You're probably reading this too, so I don't know if you want me to spoil it for you, but it deals with the judge and what's going on with the judge in Bloodhaven. And there's a really cool...
They're going to have to tie that one up because they got a new creative team that's going to be coming out on that's going to be taking over Nightwing very shortly.
Yeah, there's a big explosion at the end of this, and it leads you to think that maybe Nightwing didn't make it out, but Nightwing made it out.
Yeah.
So that's not spoiling anything, really. I didn't think that'd be too much of a spoiler. But the one thing I really did like about this issue is the first 4 pages. The judge is apparently trapped. He's tied Nightwing to a chair underwater. He's got him chained to a chair. And a big fucking squid comes up to Nightwing while he's in this chair. So he pulls a Bruce move. He irritates the squid until it crushes him, thereby crushing the wooden chair and freeing Nightwing. And he literally comes down to his last second of air before he's going to pass out. And it works. He escapes and he gets out. And the very next scene is Nightwing drying off with a towel, and he's literally covered with sucker marks all over his whole body from the squid holding onto him. But then it comes down to him just trying to find out where the judge is and going to find him, and he's basically manipulated this guy into blowing himself up. And there's a big explosion at the end, and we don't know if Nightwing made it out. So to be continued in next issue. I guess it's this is chapter 6 of this arc currently, or the next one will be, this is chapter 5. The next one's called The Untouchable, chapter 6, Deep Dive. So this is a long arc.
It's been a very long arc, and like I said, they got to wrap that up because they got a new creative team coming in that's going to take Nightwing in a new direction.
Who's doing it? I didn't even hear about that.
I put it out on Twitter.
Was that the press release?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay, I know what you're talking about. Okay, that Superman. I think this is the last one that I read. So Superman, really good. Anybody into first appearances needs to get this issue of Superman this week. This is, as far as I know, I don't recall seeing this since Jonathan Kent's been in the DC universe since Rebirth. But as far as I know, this is the first appearance of Bizarro. We get to see the Jonathan Kent Bizarro. And what's funny to me is it's an American Gothic. I guess the Bizarros are going to come to Earth because the cover is Bizarro with Bizarro Lois Lane and Bizarro, and Bizarro Crypto and Bizarro Streaky are on the cover of this. And Bizarro is saying farewell to Bizarro World on the cover.
Is this going to be and this is a different Bizarro than the one that's with Red Hood right now?
This must be, because this is Bizarro verse. This is actually Bizarro World Bizarro.
Okay.
The square planet in space. This is the opposite Clark Kent, Lois Lane, and Jonathan Kent. And it opens up with the Bizarro on Bizarro World. And they've actually got I think it's a tombstone for Jonathan Kent, because they're backwards, and on his birth they put a grave out, like a tombstone. I don't know, but he's at a grave in the beginning of it, and he's doing his backwards Bizarro talk like he traditionally always has. And so he's on the Bizarro World, and Jonathan Kent at the same, and it just shows some like Bizarro World antics, like stuff's on fire, and like that's good, like everything's backwards, like it always traditionally was in the old Bizarro World stories.
Right.
But you get this view of Bizarro, which is the Jonathan Kent Bizarro, and all of a sudden Jonathan Kent and his friend the girl from Kathy that's actually the alien that was living next door to the Kents, and her grandfather died. It was a big thing with a few issues or a few arcs back. But her grandfather died, so she is now living because she's an alien. She's actually not a human girl, little girl, but she's an alien and she's a friend of Jonathan Kent's, and they relate to each other because they're both basically he's half alien, she's an alien. So they hang out together, and she has her spacecraft is under her farmhouse, like buried underneath the house, and she has access to go down to it. So she takes Jonathan Kent down there, and they always hang out like that. I guess everybody's aware, like Clark's aware of it. Everybody's aware that this girl's an alien, and they keep an eye on her, but she lives by herself out in the farmhouse. And Jonathan Kent goes to visit her when he gets a chance, and she shows him this technology in her ship where she could basically open up this bubble, like this protective bubble, but she can open it in different dimensions where they can see different dimensions, and she opens the dimension to the Bizarro world. And Jonathan Kent and Boizarro like actually see each other through this membrane of this energy bubble, and they go to touch, and there's a reaction that kind of blows them back, and they shut down the machine and get out of there. And so basically, Jonathan Kent goes home. It's like, yeah, they kind of call him out for going back to their old town without asking. He just went there and went to see his friend, and they give him a bunch of shit. And then they start basically making fun of him having a girlfriend, and he gets all, how younger kids get embarrassed. So he starts cleaning up and doing his chores real fast and gets the hell out of there. And so later that night, Jonathan Kent's in bed, and then just all of a sudden, Boizarro crashes through his bedroom window on top of his bed and says goodbye, like he would normally say hello. He busts in the window and says goodbye to Jonathan Kent immediately. So, and the next issue is called Blood Brothers. So we're gonna see if I don't know if just the Boizarro has come through, and Bizarro and Bizarro Lois Lane are gonna come through looking for him, or if they all were transported there through this energy bubble. This is just the beginning of this arc, so I don't know yet. But pretty good. I love. I'm really disappointed. I'm not mad that Bendis is coming to DC. But I really wish they would leave this team on Superman, because the Rebirth Superman has been some of the best Superman in like 30 years. And introducing Jonathan Kent as the son, and the Super Sons book with Damian, and I love both. I love Super Sons. I think that's a great book. I love the crossover with I love the Super Sons arc with Teen Titans and Superman and Super Sons. That was a really cool arc. I love the team up of Jonathan Kent and Damian. It's really funny. It's really cool. It's got good artwork. I love this, and I just had this terrible fear that Bendis is going to come in and fuck this all up and ruin it, because this path they've set for Superman being like the old school, pre-crisis, old days Superman that he is.
Right.
I love what they're doing with this. I love the fact that he's settled down. It's great that he's got a family. And he is just the down-home Clark with his son, teaching his son how to be a Superman. And I just love what's going on with it. And I just got this terrible feeling that Bendis is going to screw this all up. But, yeah, Superman, I really dug it. Number 42. Like I said, as far as I know, and I could be wrong, they may have mentioned this somewhere earlier on in a different, like either in Super Sons or in somewhere in another book, they may have mentioned that there was maybe in Red Hood and the Outlaws. I don't know. They may have mentioned that Bizarro had a son, or I don't know if this is actually the same Bizarro. But this opens up on the Bizarro world, the square Earth. So I'm assuming this is a different Bizarro than the one that's running around with Red Hood right now. But really, really good. I love it. Like I said, first appearance, as far as I know, of the Bizarro Jonathan Kent. So if you're into first appearances and you like Superman, maybe run out this Wednesday and pick Superman 42 up by Gleason Tomasi Sanchez. But all in all, good week for books, man. Batman and Superman were tight. I like Snagglepuss. Nightwing was good. Justice League was good. All the ones I read were pretty damn good.
Very awesome. And, of course, you can pick those up this Wednesday. And, of course, a slew of other books from other...
Yeah. Batman pick of the week, by the way. Batman's my pick of the week.
Batman is the pick of the week. The Nerd Rage pick of the week. Make sure you go out on Wednesday. Give the comic book some love. Give the comic shop some love. Pick up your books. We got to pick up our books.
Yes.
And, of course, we'll be back again next week with another batch of DC comic reviews. So, until then,
Yes, sir.
Thank you all for tuning in, and good night.
Good night, everybody.